Have you ever caught yourself talking to your cat like they're a person? Sharing secrets, venting about your day, or asking if they're hungry again, even though dinner was just an hour ago? And then they just stare at you, eyes wide, silent, still, almost as if they're holding on to a secret you're desperate to know. It feels like they understand something you don't. But what's really happening in their mind when you pour your heart out to them? Today, we're peeling back the mystery of what your cat truly thinks when you talk to them, and what that reveals about the extraordinary bond you share. Because here's the truth. Science has shown that your cat doesn't just hear your words, they feel the rhythm of your emotions. And once you realize this, you'll see they've been having a conversation with you all along. You just didn't know how to listen. So, if you've ever felt that spark of connection when your cat blinks slowly at you or presses their head into your hand, this video is for you. You're not alone. There are countless people who know cats are more than pets. They're companions, confidants, and quiet healers. Together, we're going to uncover the language they've been speaking all along. Let's start with a simple question. Do cats really understand us? Cats don't understand words the way we do. But that doesn't mean your voice is meaningless. When you speak, they're not decoding sentences. They're feeling rhythm, energy, and vibration, like ripples moving across water. To them, your voice is atmosphere. And yes, they absolutely know your voice. Studies show cats can distinguish their human's voice from a stranger's, even when the same words are spoken. They may not grasp the meaning of "I'm home," but they know the tone, the sound, the emotional fingerprint. Here's what makes this extraordinary. Cats hear frequencies up to 64,000 hertz, nearly 3 times higher than humans. That means they catch every shift in tone, every pause, even the tension in your breath after a hard day. Think of those times when you sighed after work and your cat's ears flicked, their head lifted. They knew something had changed before you even noticed it. Your voice isn't just sound. To them, it's an emotional story you didn't even know you were telling. And every time you speak with calm or care, you're weaving threads in their mind. That's why when you say, "Hey, buddy," they perk up. That sound lives in a special drawer in their memory, right next to your footsteps and the scent of your skin. Your voice becomes a pattern they trust. It doesn't just mark your presence, it becomes home. Here's where it gets fascinating. To your cat, your voice is their weather. Humans process speech through pitch, tone, and meaning. But cats? They specialize in emotion. They're tuned not to your words, but to the melody of your mood. Say, "I love you," in a flat tone, and they won't move. Whisper nonsense sweetly, and they'll come running. Your voice is their weather. When you speak softly, you broadcast sunshine. When your tone sharpens with stress, even if it isn't aimed at them, you send out storm warnings. A sudden shift in tone is like thunder in the distance, impossible to ignore. And here's the power you didn't know you had. You can change your cat's emotional state simply by how you speak. Not through commands, not through discipline, but just by existing loudly or softly, gently or harshly. You are their barometer. When you laugh, they feel the warmth. When frustration sparks in your voice, maybe at traffic, maybe at a broken glass, they sense the static charge in the air and adjust. Some cats retreat when storms roll in. Others become your lightning rod, pressing closer when your atmosphere grows heavy. You've probably noticed this pattern. When voices rise in an argument, cats vanish under the bed. But when laughter fills the house, they stretch out in the open, basking in the calm. You're not just talking to them, you're shaping the climate they live in. and that climate is everything. But your voice doesn't just live in the moment. It weaves memory and builds connection. Cats don't just live in the moment, they build memories. Every time you speak with calm or care, you're weaving threads in their mind. That's why they react so specifically. The playful way you call their name isn't just a sound to them. They recall your tone, the time of day, the rhythm of your keys, and what usually comes next. Your voice becomes a pattern they trust. Each phrase is stored like a bookmark in their emotional library. Here's what makes this extraordinary. Cats have associative long-term memory. They don't forget the emotional weight of your words. That gentle "good morning" from months ago, it still shapes how they see you. They're writing an emotional biography of you, voice by voice, day by day. Your laughter is linked to bright afternoons. Your whispered, "I love you," during their illness becomes a pillar of trust. Even your sighs of frustration are remembered. Over time, your voice becomes more than presence. It becomes the soundtrack of their home. And here's the profound truth. Every word you've ever spoken was heard, felt, and remembered. Nothing was wasted. Your voice has become their anchor, and it's in this depth that the real conversation begins. And then there's the silent conversation, the answers your cat gives without a single sound. Here's something most people miss. Your cat doesn't just listen. They answer. Their language isn't words. It's written in eyes, stillness, and tiny gestures. That slow blink you sometimes see, it's not boredom. In the wild, closing your eyes near another creature is dangerous. When your cat blinks slowly, they're whispering, "I feel safe with you." When they rub against your leg after you speak, it's not random. It's ritual, marking you as family, sealing the conversation with touch. Even silence itself is dialogue. When you talk, and they stay still, present, unflinching, they're saying, "I'm here, I hear you," and that's enough. Cats don't ask us to learn a new language. They invite us to notice the one they've always spoken. And once you notice it, you realize something extraordinary. They've been answering you all along. This is the real dialogue, not human to pet, but soul to soul. One voice vocal, the other silent, both deeply aware of each other. And perhaps that's why their silence can sometimes feel louder than any word. Here's where the bond gets even deeper. Cats often become emotional mirrors. Cats don't just observe your feelings, they mirror them. They sense tension like a storm on the horizon. The shift in your breath, the heaviness in your posture, the quiet signals you don't notice in yourself. And they respond. When you soften, they soften. When chaos rises, they retreat. When your breath steadies, they return. This is why people call cats emotional mirrors. They don't just react, they reflect. Some are storm chasers. When anxiety spikes, they press closer, anchoring your scattered energy. Others are fair weather companions, seeking calm and giving you space during storms. Neither is wrong. Both are love. But the most moving are the cats who become bridges, staying through your hardest moments, not to fix or change you, but to witness, to hold space in a way that says, "Your feelings are safe with me." But maybe the most powerful moments are when your cat chooses to comfort you without being asked. The most extraordinary moments are not when your cat mirrors you, but when they choose to comfort you. A heavy day, a quiet sadness, and suddenly your cat appears. Not because you called them, not because they wanted food, but because something in them decided, you shouldn't go through this alone. This isn't coincidence, it's choice. Cats are often seen as independent, even aloof. That's why their comfort feels so profound. A creature that owes you nothing, that guards its space, chooses instead to enter yours. They curl into your lap. They press a paw on your arm. They lean against your chest, as if to say, I will carry a little of this weight with you. And what makes this powerful is the timing. They come not at random, but at the exact moment you need them most. The instant the tears fall, the second the silence grows too heavy. Their presence is their answer. These moments aren't about reflection. They're about devotion. About an animal making a decision that goes against its reputation for detachment. Because sometimes, the purest love isn't in big gestures. It's in the quiet act of showing up without being asked again and again. And when a cat chooses you in that way, you understand something profound. Their comfort isn't an accident. It's a gift. Over time, something extraordinary happens. Your voice itself becomes their home. Over time, something extraordinary happens. Your voice becomes more than sound. It becomes memory. It becomes comfort. It becomes home. Cats don't remember words, but they remember how your voice made them feel. That gentle good morning months ago is still filed under safety. Your soft praise during their recovery is a pillar of trust. They memorize more than tone. They know your footsteps, the rhythm of your keys, even your breathing at night. But your voice is the golden thread tying it all together. When life shifts, when sighs replace smiles, when laughter grows quiet, they notice. Not because they grasp your world, but because you are their world. To your cat, you're not just a speaker. You're the presence that shapes reality, the narrator of their story, the voice that signals calm or chaos, and the voice they trust completely. And here's what makes this profound. In a world full of noise, they've chosen yours as the one that matters most, the one that means safety, the one that means love, the one that means home. So never stop talking to them. Even when they seem indifferent, they're listening. They're remembering. They're building a library of you that will last their lifetime. Your voice is their anchor in an uncertain world. And to them, it will always mean home. So here's the truth we've been building toward. Talking to your cat isn't one-way communication. It's a duet. You speak with your voice. They respond with their presence. One melody is vocal, the other silent. But together, they form the same song. Every blink, every rub, every moment they sit beside you in stillness is part of that ongoing dialogue. And once you start to notice it, you'll realize something extraordinary. They've been answering you all along. You just weren't listening with the right part of yourself. This is the real conversation, not human to pet, but soul to soul. Two beings bridging the distance between species with a language that doesn't need translation because it speaks straight to the heart. Your cat doesn't need perfection. They don't need eloquence. They just need your voice. Steady, familiar. Theirs is hers. And in return, they give you something rare. The certainty that you are heard. That in all the noise of the world, one quiet companion has chosen your voice as their favorite sound. And maybe that's the most beautiful truth of all. To your cat, your voice will always mean home. So in the end, what does your cat really think when you talk to them? So, What does your cat really think when you talk to them? They think, "This is the sound of safety. This is the voice I trust. This is home." That's why you should never stop talking to them. Because even in silence, they've been answering you with trust, with presence, with a love that never needed words. Your voice is their anchor in a changing world. If this touched your heart, share your story in the comments. That one moment you knew your cat was truly listening might help someone else recognize the same. Because the most meaningful exchanges don't happen through words, but through presence, trust, and love. And your cat has been speaking that language perfectly all along. And maybe that's the most extraordinary love of all.